Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. We're going to get a little bit deep into this. Some of you might be in an affair type situation, the Mr. Mistress of this love relationship. Narcissists love to promise the world. Will they ever leave their spouse? Will they ever leave? Some of you are longing for that. I'm going to tell you, statistically, it's 6% of the time that the narcissist will end up with the Mr. or Mistress of the situation. And why is that? Um, Personally, I believe it's because they have to take accountability. I was in a situation, which I don't really like talking about, but I'll share it with you guys. I had met this guy and we were together for a very long time, building a friendship. And at first, I didn't know exactly what was going on. We were having a friendship. Eventually it progressed into more. We started trying to have babies, like checking ovulation schedules. I'll be honest with you guys, I found out he was married, but he had said he was so unhappy that he was trying to wait until the first child had graduated and then he was going to move out. So hung in for that based on the promises and the ring and the love bombing, and based on the lies that they tell, based on the things that they say. They're in love with you and they want to be with you and they're talking about a future. We got along great, and so you're working around the situation. So you can't really tell exactly what is the truth. Would they see me every night? Would they call every night? Will they be there at my family's, I don't know, Thanksgiving or whatever? So you see the effort that they do put in. There were times that he did a lot of things for me. He was there at the opening of a store that I had started. He came to a family Thanksgiving because our family celebrated it that year on a weekend. So he was able to finagle it. So if you are hoping to be with somebody that's going to leave their spouse, I want you to be aware that usually they do not leave their spouse, but I knew this situation was not a good situation. I knew it was toxic. So I hung in there because it was a bad situation based on things he did in the past. So anyways, the first child graduates and then you hear, but can we just like hang in there for the second one? And I believe there's 2 years between them. So this is another 2 years. You're like, are you kidding me? And so you hang in there and you're going through stuff. And all during this time, it's like, are you going to file for divorce? What's going on? He went to great extremes to keep me. He showed me paperwork for a divorce. And it had the court's name. I've been to law school. It was very, legal. However, it has the names filled in, the dates, all that stuff, but there's no docket number. So I knew you got to really be smart with these guys, because if you didn't know that there had to be a docket number on it for it to be official, then you would have passed it by like, oh, that's so sweet. He had shown me houses that he was trying to rent to move out. One house, I still have never found it. I can't tell you for sure if it's ever existed. I don't think it has. Another one was an email he forwarded to me. I reached out to that person. It did have, you can make fake email addresses, but maybe it was legit. But I could send you an email right now. Hey, you renting your house? With no intention to actually rent it, and then you get a response back. That house ended up getting rented or whatever, but they lie so much, so if you're caught up in your emotions, it's really hard to make logical decisions. I teach a class on body language and tone of voice. And it's this one image where I have a sergeant yelling at the soldier during boot camp. And they're doing that to get the soldier to control his emotions. Why does he need to control his emotions? So he can logically think when he's out on the battlefield. We don't have a sergeant screaming at us. So I'm going to be your sergeant right now and tell you that, it's time to really look at reality from a different perspective, to look at it from, are my boundaries being broken? Are they upholding their promises? Are they following through on things? Is things dragging along? And it's hard because we don't want to lose the person. And then it starts off balancing us, because for 2 years, you get a promise of, this is the weekend, I'm going to do it this weekend. You're like, okay. And then you wait all weekend, you're on pins and needles, like, oh, my life's about to start with this person. And then something happens. The communication during that time is terrible. You're trying to be respectful, even though you're on pins and needles all weekend long. A lot of times you have to reach out like, hey, how'd it go? Or you're hoping that they would even say, I can't do it yet. I can't do it yet. So every weekend for like 2 years. And I know I'm the dumb one, but I also empathetically see how it could be hard. It could be hard. But also, when you're really in love with someone, you'll move mountains. So after a few times, there's times you have to see that, maybe they can't get a place yet. That takes time. We're looking at all these different things, but in the end, they'll just leave you because they don't want to take accountability. They don't want to tell the kids what really happened. It's almost like maybe an embarrassment. I don't know how to say it. And it's all about their image. It's not about how much they love you. It's not about how much they want to be with you. And it's really sad because in the end, he was saying, our passion is so much more extreme. And I truly believe that, because it's like over the top and crazy. Like sometimes you can really tell when somebody's telling the truth. Sometimes you can't. But a lot of times too, is narcissists will either have, in a traditional sense, there's other types of relationships, but in a traditional sense, they want a caregiver. But once, it's kind of like that Madonna complex, is once, like Priscilla Presley went through that. Once she had a baby, she was seen as a mother. So it's weird to have sex with a mother. So Elvis couldn't handle it. And narcissists will see things as, they have their, fantasy, and then they have their reality, and those don't match up. The fantasy is more extreme and intoxicating. And then the reality is maybe more stable because they made it more stable. But they don't see that they had, like, to have your fantasy. Why did they give that up? And it's just the accountability factor. It's the ego factor. And, they'll often find somebody younger. Both of my narcissists did that. It's all about image to them. And the more you look at all these different narcissists, it's all about either themselves or regaining control over somebody or something. They're unsettled in their body. They're unsettled in their mind. And they are pulling from the outside. Their triggers are on the outside. So that's what triggers them on the inside. When they're content, they're and quiet and idle, their brain actually starts to overact. And when they overact, they start getting irritable. Just like you guys during your healing time. Have you ever just wanted to cry and just wanted to be left alone, and you're in whatever mode you're in, and you're on edge because of all these feelings that you're feeling? And sometimes we react to that, and the narcissist reacts to their unsettled being. They have triggers beyond belief, triggers we don't know. A lot of our triggers have happened in the relationship. So they could know coming home late is a trigger, because they've done it so many times. It's starting to make us feel uncomfortable. It's not something from our past. It's something that's kind of current or recent. But the narcissist, do we know that, they got made fun of when They went trick-or-treating, they got this, they got that, like their whole entire life. And the triggers that go off in them are from so long ago. There's no way we know what those are. And the narcissist doesn't like to open up. They don't like to be vulnerable. So it's always destructive. But when you're moving forward, trying to figure out, do I wait this out? Are they really going to leave? They might. A lot of times they try to stick it out longer than they want to. He was saying, I wish I would have left 10 years ago. Who knows? Like in my heart, it's like, maybe if you left when you weren't happy, we could have had that time together. And that's what makes it hard. But they stick by for other things. You know, it is a responsibility to raise your kids and things like that. But in a destructive, unhappy relationship, you know, the daughter's in counseling now, is angry with the father. You know, it's a mess of a situation. And the narcissist just sees problems ahead instead of, you know, we can work through this. So sometimes people do leave their spouses, you know, and you know, you don't want to destroy a happy home. But a lot of times, if you think about it, if the narcissist was really happy, why did they bother searching for things outside? Why were they tempted? Why did, you know, sometimes you can be tempted once or twice, but to have like a 14-year, 18-year relationship and not want to lose a person, that you're going to extremes of printing out documents and you know, love bombing and bringing flowers and driving 5.5 hours when you didn't even expect to see them because you were out of town, and they just show up at your hotel room because I had a pattern of going to the same hotel and I would work out of town. They do some crazy things. But as far as commitment, like he's getting married in a few months. It's probably going to last for a while. I don't think it's going to last forever. I don't. It's just a facade. It's built upon selfishness. I had said, he had mentioned, it's all about him. Everybody knows it's all about him. And I don't think the new supply signed up for it's all about him. They're just cocky. They just expect things. So if you're thinking about, you know, sticking it out, you know, it's kind of something I don't like to talk about, but they lie so much. They promise so much. And yeah, mine got divorced. We were finally supposed to have our future. And when it came down to it, I got ghosted. And as much as I cried, as much as I explained, I just want to know if you're alive. Are you alive or dead? You know, finally, we still had the kind of crazy, I didn't know what was going on. And they end up with somebody else, move somebody else in. As soon as we were able to have our time together, to build upon what we've been waiting to build upon, to have the true relationship, you know, I went through all this and it didn't matter. And looking back, it's like, it's so unappreciated. It's so unappreciated. And they don't see what they asked of somebody. And they don't care what it did to somebody else's life. They don't have regret. They don't feel sorry. It's just like, kind of like, it is what it is. Like, what'd you expect? Like, I don't know. I was just, you know, I went through a divorce and, you know, something came my way and I decided to go with it. As opposed to, I asked you, because I told him for 2 years, I can't take it anymore. So for 2 years, no, I'm going to do this. I am going to do this for us. And then he did. And then there's the discard. And it's all comes down to accountability. Narcissists will not take accountability. And that's what happened to me. So it's up to you guys what you do, but 6% will end up with their mistress if they do divorce. But you know, relationships based on lies are not always the best. And if they can cheat on you, they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. And that's a true story. So big hugs to you guys, and just be careful out there. There's so many liars, and moving on, it's really scary. Like, we want a true relationship. We want a faithful relationship. And with all these lies, there are people that are trying to suck in a supply when they're already married or interested in somebody else, and they just want like a side piece. And they lie to such extremes that sometimes it's hard. You got to be like I was, knowing there should be a docket number. So you got to really take away the emotions and look at it logically. Is this how you would treat the person? Would you constantly cancel on them? If you canceled, would you give them the courtesy of a cancellation call, or would you just blow it off? And the hardest part is we want to believe these people. So if they say that they were in a car accident, or their grandmother died, or they have to stay late at work, we want to believe these people. We don't want to seem like the stalkers that, have to check up on everything. But over time, we start getting unsettled, and we start feeling like something is just off. And that's the trust. Once trust is broken, it's really hard to get back. So we try to rebuild it. But the narcissist still gives this aura of things just aren't right, because even if we ask, did you remember to put the laundry softener in, the fabric softener in? Yeah, I did. And it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, but we're just asking. Like, you can't have a normal conversation with them. You can't. And once it gets into that devaluation stage, they're on edge. They're in defense mode, because as they grew up, they were in defense mode, whether it was trying to prove they were the best of the best, or they were trying to prove why they shouldn't be beat, or they were a victim. They're defensive. And that's just what they grew up with. That's who they are. So once you get into that devaluation stage, they're the ones that see us as on the offense. So when we say, something, just like, I just want to communicate, are you leaving this weekend? That's interpreted as pressure on them. But it shouldn't be pressure when that's what we agreed on. And if they would have just communicated, like, I got this and that, it might be another month. Just communicate. And it's up to me if I decide if that's acceptable or not. But we wait and wait, and it's the breadcrumbing to keep you along, because he was too scared if he said next month. So he just said every weekend, it was going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that starts driving you into berserk mode, because you're high on edge, full of anxiety over poor communication. So I just thought it was important to share, and then you think about the new supply, for my situation, does the new supply have more than I did? He's even today saying we have more passion. But I see from her, she's 10 years younger. There's 2 kids, socially accepted, because she grew up in the community, knows a lot of people. It's a lot of supply. Is she better? I don't think so. I trump her on the passion. I trump her just because of some little things he said that I honestly believe that. I trump her on independence, education. We all have different personalities. You can't say one person is better or not in the realm that her and I are in. We're on par. So it just comes down to accountability. And the narcissist needed that supply from being adored by so many people, because I bring myself and my dog, and my daughter doesn't like him because when I had a miscarriage, he wasn't there for me and I needed blood transfusions. It was pretty severe, 45 minutes away from dying. So with me, there's accountability. There's trying to work around his kids, my kids, and it's just a hassle to them. But you know what? For all those years, that was a hassle on me. And what I went through didn't matter. I was faithful the whole time. Wasn't appreciated. So you might end up with them, but you won't be appreciated. Might feel like it for a while. But narcissistic relationships are so destructive. So big hugs to you guys, and please like and subscribe. I just was being honest with you. So don't judge me on my story. Hopefully honesty helps you. So I'll talk to you in the future. One-on-ones are available. Please like and subscribe. Have a good day.